In today's video, we're going to reveal our multi-million dollar property portfolio. We're going to run through each property and we're going to run through the year we bought it, the purchase price, the renovations, the current valuation, and the LVRs on our properties. And at the end of this video, we're going to reveal the portfolio as a whole and break down the numbers for you as to where we are today. Now, before we jump further into this video, this is our 1,000 subscriber special video, so thanks so much for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe down below and drop a like on this video. It helps this video go out to more people, so I really appreciate that. Now, this video is not to be a brag. We want to motivate other people to show them that everyday people can invest their money and can grow a large property portfolio. Emily and I have been working on this for years and we've devoted our time and our effort to build this portfolio. Run your own race and take control of the money that you have and put it to work into the property market if that's the investment platform you want to use. So without stalling any longer, let's jump into our property portfolio breakdown, property by property, and start with property number 1. Now, we purchased this property in 2018. It's on the north side of Brisbane. We purchased it for $801,500. Now, the backstory behind this property was it was a Queenslander built in the 1900s, which had been jacked and built in underneath and had lots of renovations done to it, apparently in the late 80s. Now, the property actually went to auction, and we didn't know this before we bought it, but the property went to auction several months before we ended up purchasing the property. I think the owners had unrealistic expectations. So what ended up happening is we bought the property off them 3 months later because it had some structural issues and we were willing to take on the risk of those structural issues to add value to it and do some cosmetic renovations as well. So we ended up negotiating at $801,500 and we also had a $75,000 renovation. Originally, we'd actually budgeted $150,000 on the renovations over 3 years, but through our own sweat equity and hard work, it came out to about $75,000 on those renovations. Now, that leaves our cost base for that house at $876,500, and in today's market, the property would sell on the low end for about $1.28 million. So that's 46% growth over the couple of years that we've held that property so far, and it's done a really good job for helping us build our portfolio and allow us to leverage into other purchases. So the LVR on that property at the moment is 62%, and the historical rent on that property when we bought it was around the $750 mark, and now we're up at the $980 mark for rent. So that's also a rental growth of 23%. Now, this property was great. We actually house hacked in it for a time and now we just rent it out. So it's been a great property to help us get that foundation and grow the portfolio. So we actually pulled equity out several times of this property as it's grown over time to allow us to buy the other properties that are in our portfolio. So I think that's enough for property number 1. Let's jump into property number 2 and break down the numbers on our second purchase. So we actually purchased property number 2 a couple of months into the health crisis that we had in early 2020. So this house is a 2-bedder. It's on the north side of Brisbane as well, a bit further out than our first property purchase. And we purchased it at the time for $544,000. So the house was actually meant to go to auction as well. This property was being sold by the Public Trustee of Queensland, which are typically deceased estates. So we negotiated and the property didn't end up going to auction due to the health crisis, and we managed to secure the property under contract for $544,000. Now, if you haven't checked out our renovation series on the channel, this house is actually called the Baby Queenslander, or that's what we called it. So you can check out the Baby Queenslander renovation series where we started documenting our renovation journey and sharing more about our portfolio and the numbers behind it. So check it out in the link down below, and you can see us renovating that property from start to finish. You know, it was a tough renovation. It took about 8 weeks. We put a lot of hard work into it. We learned so much on that project. And so anyone else wanting to tackle some DIY out there, check out those videos and see what you can learn from them. We refinished floors, we painted the entire house, we refurbished the kitchen, we tiled the bathroom, we installed new vanities and bench tops. So we did a fair bit of work in there, largely cosmetic, no structural on that one. And we spent about $30,000 on that renovation project. Now that brings the cost base up to $574,000. which was a great investment at the time. And on the low end, in terms of valuation, the property would sell for $710,000 in today's market. Now, the LVR for that property is sitting at 66%, and the rent before we'd actually done our renovations were $380, and after we'd finished the renovations, the property was renting for $450. It's a beautiful little home now compared to what it was. It needed a lot of love and attention, but we put in that hard work over the 8 weeks, and that really boosted up the rent, and the tenants have been really happy there. I hope they're loving that home and enjoying it, and so they've actually stayed there for a fair while now, and that means that the asset has had growth of 24% in terms of capital value and rental growth of 16%. Now, these properties that we've purchased so far are all part of our buy and hold strategy. We're not planning on flipping properties for a quick buck. We just want to buy and hold good assets for the long term and create passive income over time. Our goal for financial independence and financial freedom is to continue to grow our portfolio. So this property was a classic bread and butter property in a great location that will just continue to hold. Now, this leads us to house number 3, and that's what we've been renovating at the moment, and you will have seen in the renovation series. This is actually our principal place of residence, and I know lots of commentators and property commentators will say that your PPOR isn't an investment, but for us, this place really is because of how much work we've done to it and the capital of value we've been able to obtain. And we can actually recycle the debt in this home. So yes, it might have bad debt because it was a owner-occupied loan, but as we create more value, we'll be able to get an interest-only loan for investment purposes as well and use that to recycle the debt. Now, let's break down the numbers on house number 3, which is the triple gable Queenslander we've got on the south side of Brisbane. This property was really popular. When we went through the home, there were plenty of groups wanting to buy it. It was super run down. The owner was actually a smoker. The bathroom was in complete disrepair and needed gutting. The kitchen was awful. There's a video out there showing the house tour before we'd done any work on the property, and the ceilings were covered in nicotine. So the ceilings were orange all the way through the home, especially in the bathroom and the kitchen. So we actually scrubbed the house for 3 weeks after we bought it. And if you haven't already, check out the renovation series of the Triple Gable Queenslander, where we completely redo this home, and we're almost there in terms of finishing the renovations on this house. Just a few more bits and pieces to go, and then this house will be all done and dusted. So we purchased the Triple Gable Queenslander property number 3 for $681,000. Now, at the time, that was a lot of money, but in today's market, we've had such growth, it's gone really well. So we spent so far about $45,000 on the project in terms of renovations, and that gives us a cost base of $726,000. Now, for this property to sell in the current market, it would be worth around $1.05 million. And that means we currently have a 45% capital growth on the property through manufactured value and through capital growth in the market. Now, we're not renting this property, so the numbers for rent are 0, 0, and 0 for rental growth, but it is our own home at the moment and we are looking to recycle the debt. So I truly consider this property an investment, and it's definitely part of our property portfolio. Now, before we jump into the totals and break down all the numbers that make up our total portfolio, these properties are all in Southeast Queensland, and I run a buyer's agency up here in Southeast Queensland. I see good value in the short to mid term to make a property purchase up here, given the low and medium price points and the infrastructure and growth that's coming into the Southeast Queensland market. Now, Emily and I are not always going to be looking to buy in Brisbane, and I'll look to expand the buyer's agency to other locations as we look to buy in other locations ourselves. But in terms of timing, the reason we bought our first 3 property purchases here is because we saw growth potential in the Brisbane market, and we like the market for the next 3 to 5 years. So just take that in mind that we haven't diversified, but we're also specialized in renovating, so we want to be hands-on on our projects, and we see value in this market in the short to mid-term for buying opportunities. Okay, I won't hold off any longer. Let's break down the total numbers on our property portfolio and reveal them to you right now. Okay, the total purchase price for all of our properties is $2,026,500. Now, the renovations add up to $150,000. And like I said, that's largely materials and mostly our sweat equity in the projects. And that gives us a cost base of $2,176,500. Now, the current valuation on the portfolio is sitting around $3,040,000 and it has a 62% LVR. So we've got a quite low LVR and we're actually going to look to make another property purchase in the next 6 to 12 months, depending on our lending circumstances. The historical rent on the property portfolio is $1,130 a week and the current rent on the property portfolio is $1,430. So that breaks down all the numbers for our total property portfolio. We're gobsmacked ourselves that we've been able to build a $3 million property portfolio. We've been working really hard and diligently, doing all our research, watching videos like this to get an understanding of what other people are doing. And like I said, we're absolutely gobsmacked that we've been able to build a property portfolio up to this $3 million mark. We've put in a lot of hard work, invested a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time building my knowledge and my understanding of the property market and how property works. So if you're interested in working with me, we help people invest in this market and get an understanding of the fundamentals and get them into a property that they're happy with and meets their certain circumstances. So if you'd like to hear more about what I do as a buyer's agent, check this video out over here. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Can you give me a little action?
Take 152.
Oi, it's take one. Get out of here.
Okay. Take 153.
You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable.